everybody. Welcome to our next episode of JASCHAT.
Hi guys.
Sarah, Joe. Today we're going to talk about a poem written by Emily Pearl Kingsley called Welcome to Holland. So I'll get right onto it and read it for those of you that haven't read it yet, and then we'll discuss it and see what it means to other people. I am often asked to describe the experience of raising a child with a disability, to try to help people who have not shared that unique experience to understand it, to imagine how it would feel. It's like this. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and make your wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo, David, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean, Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. They've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place, full of pestilence, famine and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you will meet a whole new group of people you would never have met. It's just a different place. It's slower paced than Italy, less flashy than Italy, but after you've been there for a while and you catch your breath, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills, and Holland has tulips. Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they're all bragging about what a wonderful time they had there, and for the rest of your life you'll say, "Yes, that's where I was supposed to go, that's what I planned." And the pain of that will never, ever, ever, ever go away, because the loss of that dream is a very, very significant loss. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I didn't like the bit quite close to the end where she said, "That's where you're supposed to be."
Yes.
I don't like that bit, because to me, I think actually the other way, that I feel sorry for some parents that they don't get to experience all the joys that we get to experience with our kids. You know, that extra thing that, you know, we've got, and we, as you said, we've got our other children as well. So we get to experience both.
Yeah, we can do a brief stopover in Italy every now and then, because we do have neurotypical, as they're called, children. So I guess for people who do go to Holland and only have the one child, that perhaps it does have more meaning than to us, because I think that we're really lucky in the fact that we have both.
Yes.
And I think that also helps us to remain so positive as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we're both very lucky in the sense that our kids, we get a lot from our children. Our kids still cuddle us, they love us, they talk to us. You know, there's obviously a lot of things that are limited, but autism isn't our whole world. Whereas I think for some people, especially if they have only got one, if their child is more severe than what our kids are, it is their world, it consumes them.
Well, they're the ones that you see on the news and, you know, on a current affair. Right. They're the ones where the mothers have built, like, massive fences or and things like that. So, yeah, we're not always in Holland, but there are some parents that are.
Yeah.
A mourning period, I don't know if you can actually mourn autism.
I think I understand it if so Beth was never one of these kids that regressed, whereas some children you hear about, and that's why I think there was all the controversy about vaccinations, you know, whatever. I'm not going into that with it, but about because of the timing of a lot of children regress around about 18 months, and so that's why there's this belief that some people believe that with the vaccinations. I think if you've had a child that was developing normally and then they've regressed, you would mourn that child. But in our situation, Beth never did regress. She always was as she is. So I never saw another, it's not like, I don't know. No, I wouldn't. She just always was as she is. So we just love her the way she is.
Yes, I suppose from my perspective, you can only mourn the death of a child. Do you know what I mean? It's like you still get to see your child every day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's it's a hard thing to hear.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people actually mourn, the death of their child.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely, yeah.
And I guess that again makes me think, Holland's not such a bad place to be.
But also it's not...
Because I still have my
second
child.
choice.
Yeah.
The way I as you were reading it, I haven't really read much about it. I think when it first came out, I mean, Beth was young and I had 2 more after her, and I didn't have time to read, I was living what I was living. I didn't have time to read things like that. But I don't want, for people that are watching it out there, and especially people that have got a new diagnosis, it's not second best. I don't want people to think
it's not Siberia.
We're not settling for this shitty, horrible life. It is our life, and it is what it is, and it's not second best.
No.
I don't consider Beth to be second best person.
Yeah, exactly. And why should you live any less than someone else? So, with that in mind, if you do feel that you are living a second best life, then please let us know, because we can certainly help you make the most of your Holland, really.
Absolutely.
Because we can show you where to access respite and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're not alone. And that's why we're doing the show as well. So
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
feel alone.
Yeah.
So what I did, Sarah, because at the poem, and as we've discussed many times, it's very controversial, isn't it? It's like who thinks Holland, Italy, and we're coming from a place where we've been to Italy, so we can't really talk about just going to Holland. So I posted on our Facebook page, and guys, don't forget there's a competition going at the moment. We've got this, once you reach 200 likes, so please make sure that you like our page if you're watching us, and get your
multicolour. It is.
Oh.
It's lovely, really lovely. Donated by our friends at Josie and Me, who are just wonderful. I buy all of my jewellery from them.
It's the tree of life.
Is it?
Isn't it?
I don't know. It's just a tree.
I don't know, but it's life-giving. It's got apples on it.
It's a tree.
It's a tree.
It's
okay?
a nice tree.
Well, I think it's supposed to signify the tree of life.
Okay.
But maybe that's another show.
Yeah. So go on.
Okay, so anyway, so I asked for some responses, and though they weren't on the public Facebook page, I did get some private messages from a few people. So, this is their opinion on hearing Welcome to Holland, Part 1. And there's also a Part 2, but the credit goes to Anonymous, so I'm not exactly sure if it was written by the original author. So we won't go into that detail, however, it's sort of a sequel.
The way it was written, I thought, no offence to the person that wrote it, but it was, when I first read it, I thought a bit, because the way it was explained in it is that they were very angry at the time, that I thought they said they wrote it, but it actually could be at the time that they read it. And so it did seem like it was the author of the original one that was saying, and now that I've lived in Holland for 10 years, this is now how I feel. But then, as you said, it's actually written as anonymous. So
well, I tried to find reference, so even Wikipedia showed that she only had one poem.
So therefore we sort of don't feel that we will read it out, because it might not actually be from the original author, and that's not really the right thing. So, but we will read, it could be as we are reading opinions from parents. Like that could be what it is,
The-
an opinion
yeah.
piece. So we'll just read out what our people have said.
Okay, so you can start.
Okay, well,
with-
Hope from Werribee said that she read it as a young teacher and it really helped her to be more open to the differences between typical and special needs parenting. So that's interesting because it has got more prominent in the last few years. So if that was 10 years ago, it was quite early on. And I think that that's a good thing, opening up the eyes to the differences between the two ways of teaching.
Well, it's 1987, so...
Oh, really? So
yeah.
it's more than 10 years
I'm pretty
then?
sure, yeah. Or 1980, it was written in the 80s. So,
okay.
yeah, it's been around for a while.
Oh, so the 10-year thing was only from that when they
That
said
was
that they
the-
read it.
Yes,
Part two.
the part 2 was I've been in Holland for 10 years now.
Right, okay.
So,
Oh, well, that's a long time again.
Yes.
Then, isn't it? Yeah.
but it does. And, well, Vera from Blackburn said that she did read it way back when, but she can't read it now because it does bring back too many memories.
Yeah.
So for her, I guess it's still very raw. So even
That's
me,
understandable.
yeah, that's right, exactly. Each to their own, really.
Ben from Nunawading said that it broke his heart, but it did put the whole diagnosis into perspective. Sorry, B from Nunawading. I'm terribly sorry, B. It did put the whole diagnosis into perspective for her. So, yeah.
It is,
That's
yeah.
good.
Well, exactly. It is a
It
different
is good to
trip.
see how other parents think, and before JASCHAT came along, it was things like this that gave parents perspective. And even back then, you've got to remember, and God forbid the idea of it, there was probably no internet. So
Yeah, exactly.
this is where people would have read it in a book or something.
You know, let's talk about what's legal in Holland that's not yet legal here. Now, there's a lot of fun to be had in Holland. So Wayne from St Albans said, "Gosh, I hated it. I was given it pretty soon after diagnosis by a friend who had 4 perfect angelic children. So he felt it was a bit patronising at the time. But he was going through an angry phase at the time anyway. He says, I get it now though. I don't find it comforting. The way I don't find it comforting when people say, these things happen for a reason.
I get that.
Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
reason?
Yes.
Maybe we should go to Holland and find out in one of those special cafes. Sorry.
Okay. Sally from Scoresby says that she was first given the poem in a room with a group of other mums who she hardly knew, and a lot of them just ended up crying because, they were told that they could end up crying, and for that reason she just gave it a quick glance. But she read it when she got home, and of course she did cry. But it did articulate how she felt, the anger, the sadness and the grief. So she found comfort in the fact that her emotions were normal, and that hope that she could and would get through this period and they would thrive. But she said she can understand how people feel angry after reading it, as life is never that perfect picture that we as parents dream for our kids before they arrive. But life isn't, anyway. You know, it just
Exactly. Like, oh my God, you know, you hear people talking about how their child is behind in maths in prep. And it's like, oh, you poor thing. Like, seriously. At least your child is in prep doing maths.
That's right. And I mean, it's all relative, isn't it?
It really is. I think we come to accept what we have and what we don't, and we just make the best of what we can. And again, very easy for us to say because we have the best of both worlds.
Yes, that's right.
But again, reach out to people and find your best you can be.
Yes.
The best you can be, yeah. So, Mike from Brisbane, and welcome to our interstate viewers.
Yes, welcome Brisbane viewers.
We've got sunshine here today too. So, Mike says, when I first read the poem, I didn't relate to it too much. Because I didn't feel such a sudden shock when John had received his diagnosis. I'd always felt that there was something not quite right about his development from an early stage and had struggled to find answers. I was slowly building up the doubts, like, it doesn't look like Italy, but somewhere else, but I don't exactly know where. So when John was officially diagnosed with autism, I felt I finally found the answer. So yeah, as he said, it wasn't a sudden shock like described in the poem.
And
It was
I think I was the same actually. When we got Beth's diagnosis, you know what it said to me? It was saying, "Oh, thank God it's not me. Thank God it's not my parenting."
Oh, okay.
Because I really thought this bloody kid who screams every time someone comes over, and every time I'm on the phone, she lies on the floor and screams, and I just thought, what am I doing? I must be a really bad parent.
That is such because I never thought that.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
such an interesting perspective. Because Daniel was so laid back, he'd let anybody in, and like he was just the cool kid. Because he sat in the. I thought I had the best kid.
Yeah.
Because he would sit in the stroller for hours while I shopped, and everybody else's kids wanted to jump out and run around, and he was happy to play in his playpen. So I actually had the perfect kid until
Beth
diagnosis.
wouldn't let me talk to people, so if they came in the room, she would scream if I was talking to them, and then if I left the room, she would then talk to them. This is before the selective mutism came full ball, and then I'd come back in the room. And so if I went to school, I used to do reading at the school when she started on purpose because she hated me being there, and I just thought she needs to deal with it. She needs to deal with me being away. She doesn't like her people talking. So if her teacher was her people and I was her people, if we talked, she didn't like that.
Oh, okay.
So I just thought she's just got to suck it up, princess, and get on with it. So I started to do, not working with her, but work with other kids at the school so that I was blurring her.
So you pushed her boundaries.
Absolutely.
And obviously got good rewards from
absolutely.
it too.
So, yeah. And I think we should finish off with a nice little quote that someone sent in to us by Joseph Campbell, which says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." I think that's lovely. I really like that.
Same. But I'm scared of caves.
So am I. But I just do like it's like the
But
saying,
yes.
you know, what's that saying about, if you don't push your boundaries, you don't know how far you can go. If you don't try and strive for your dreams,
Exactly.
then you'll never achieve them. If you don't believe that you can actually get them.
Or it's the journey, not the destination, Sarah.
Is it? Really?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Oh, whatever.
So yeah, that's it. So if anybody else has any thoughts about Holland and finding their Italy, or whether or not Holland is good enough, let us know, because we'd love to hear from you. And remember, the tree.
The tree.
Bye.